I'm doing it by myself. DNA, DNA.
I'm not familiar with this chant, so I can't do it.
It's pretty simple. It's just DNA, and you chant that a couple of times, quite similar to TNA. And this is T. No, it's not. It's not T. It's DNA. Wrestling Live. Podcasting, talking. The podcast that has won no awards, and we're still looking for some. We have a very, 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 very first guest ever. It's our very old. No, not old. That's a bit mean.
That's mean.
That's a bit mean. That's a bit far.
Cut that out.
Very old.
10 years ago, we met an absolute legend. No, it wasn't 10 years ago. 11 years ago.
Wow.
2008, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think when we met. When we started.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. You would have come along in what? The June or the July, I think, to start in September.
I think so.
Yeah.
Funny quick story though, because we actually the way that we know Dean. This is Dean, by the way. Myself and Ash were looking for a Photoshop course of some sort, and we couldn't find the room. And
it was a graphic design course, wasn't it?
A graphic design course. And then myself and Ash were walking past Dean's room, and he just got his whip out, his lasso, and he grabbed us in and goes, "Do you guys want to do video games development?" And we went,
"Yes, we do."
Yeah, sure, why not? That sounds fun, because we literally couldn't find the graphic design room anyway, so we did that.
You would have thought it would have been better signposted, wouldn't you?
You'd think, being a graphic design course, yeah. So that is how we know Dean, and Dean's had a bit of a history with us. He's throughout my wrestling career, he came around and he photographed a couple of my shows, did some promo pictures. Do you remember doing them?
I do remember that.
That was good fun. And we've actually not really spoke too much in the past few years or so. We've all drifted off into our own little worlds. But now the power of DNA talk wrestling decided to come back together, have Dean on as our very first guest of the show. Woo!
I will do my very best to disappoint.
Of course, we have Ash.
Holla.
And myself. Woo! And this week's episode, as if we're doing them weekly, pretty much once per month, sort of. We are doing last week we did the other week we did a pretty negative 5 things that piss us off about professional wrestling today, which was all solely aimed at the
it was a slag fest at WWE.
At the WWE.
You need to do a TLDR version of that podcast.
Yeah.
LDR.
Definitely.
Too long. Didn't
too long, didn't read. Basically everything pissed us off. We can't stand anything about the WWE today. So we're going to have a bit of a positive spin on it for once, and we are going to do our favourite pay-per-views. We're all going to pick one each. Dean, have you got yours picked?
Yep.
Ash, you got yours picked?
I got mine picked.
I've got mine picked. Who wants to go first? So
they're all going to be the same one, aren't they?
This will be quite funny if we all pick the same one. What we're going to do, feel free to talk whatever you want to talk about them. If you want to do the beforeness, the aftermath, and the actual pay-per-view itself, feel free to talk about the storylines building up to the pay-per-view, talk about the actual shows, the actual matches itself. And if you want to go on a rant, feel free to. If you want to just praise it, feel free to as well. Anybody, any takers want to start off? Shall we leave it to the guest, or
let's let the guest can go.
Wait to kick it off. Go on, go.
Start. We got to crack it off right though. We got. It's a Thursday evening.
It is a Thursday evening. All right. Well, let's do a process of elimination here, because I'm not going to tell you the year.
Okay.
So let's see. Have any of you picked SummerSlams?
Nope.
No.
All right. In that case, we're good. I picked SummerSlam 2002.
I was actually going to guess that one.
Ooh.
I was actually going to guess you was going to pick 2002. I don't know why. I was going to put to you. I thought you were either going to do an early 90s one, sorry, or you were going to do a mid noughties. So I'll give myself 2002, and then
It was going to be that, or it was going to be the very, very first Mania that I ever watched live. Which, since you've already outed me as old, I don't mind saying it's WrestleMania 6.
6, okay.
Ultimate Challenge, Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior title for title. That was going to be my choice. But, looking at both cards, there's some really dodgy stuff at WrestleMania 6. But Slam 2002 is actually really, really good.
Cool.
Okay, I'll go after this because mine kind of links into like this pay-per-view.
Can we guess first?
Oh yeah,
Go for it.
Now that you said a pay-per-view afterwards, after this,
Yeah.
I was originally gonna guess you were gonna pick. Actually, when did you start watching wrestling, Ash?
So I was 8.
So you would
So it
have.
would have. So like, it was just like when we first got Sky, and it was like Sky One every Saturday morning.
Do you remember the actual pay-per-view?
I couldn't tell you.
Can you? Get in.
Like pay-per-view I'd watched down live was a Mania.
Because.
It was a birthday present.
Oh, really? Decent.
Yeah.
Because
nice.
I was gonna guess from you, your first well, not from the first pay-per-view, but the pay-per-view of what you was gonna pick. I don't know why, but I thought it was gonna be a WrestleMania, and I thought, oh, it is.
It is a
It is a
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania.
Okay, and I am going to guess because you're a big Eddie fan. WrestleMania 2005.
No.
Close.
A couple years off.
Dean.
So the Mania after SummerSlam 2002, then.
Exactly. Yeah.
Really? Damn. Okay.
Why I'm here.
Pretty much,
That's
yeah.
why I'm here.
Okay. What number was that? WrestleMania
19.
19. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it was like the day after my birthday.
Yeah.
Again, that was.
Actually, I do love this show as well, simply because of Shawn Michaels Jericho. And
I'll get onto why it links and stuff, obviously, after like when I talk about it.
And I love Dean's pick of SummerSlam 2002 as well because of Shawn Michaels Triple H.
Yeah.
I'll go into a couple of stories of why I love those matches within these pay-per-views first. Not first, later on when we actually get to them. But Dean, feel free to kick us off.
Well, I mean, if we're doing a trail here, and we've both said what ours are going to be. You might as well.
Sorry. It's because I've got the pay-per-view up on my screen, so I didn't even think. Mine was purposely like a controversial one. It's a Royal Rumble.
Is it where Shawn wins from number 1?
No.
Okay. Because that's where my head was thinking you were going to go with.
Is it where
Close.
Ric Flair wins from number 1?
Not 92. No, was that 92? No, that was 91. Sorry, wasn't it? Because 92 was
Is it where
the
John
double
Cena
winner.
makes his return at number 30?
And then Super Cena wins it all. No, it was controversial one because a lot of wrestling YouTube channels and websites they completely shit on it. But I couldn't decide if it was going to be 97 or 99. 97 because that was one of my very first pay-per-views that I ever watched. My very first pay-per-view, I think it was Beware of the Dog, 1996. The main event, pardon me, the main event was Shawn Michaels versus British Bulldog. I can't remember if it was Beware of the Dog or if it was Ground Zero. I can't really remember off the top of my head, but the 1997 pay-per-view, the 97 Royal Rumble was because Shawn versus Sid in the main event. That was such an awesome story. But so I was gonna go with Royal Rumble '99 instead because that was I loved.
That was the Rock Mankind.
That's the
I
one.
Quit, right?
There is it's like both of the main event matches are like completely iconic to me. I'll go into the reasons why in a bit. But shall we kick off with? So we've got Royal Rumble '99, SummerSlam 2002, and WrestleMania 19.
Yes.
I don't know. Should we do these chronologically? Would that make more sense?
Could do.
Let's kick off with Dan then.
Oh, you're just making me go first?
Yep.
All right then. Okay. Well, the reason why I've picked Royal Rumble '99 because I loved the build up to the pay-per-view. I loved the pay-per-view itself, and I loved the aftermath going into St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Carry on that massive storyline. If you can name me a better storyline that has ever been made from the WWF/WWE, feel free to prove me wrong, but the McMahon-Austin storyline, in my opinion anyway, was the best storyline that they've ever made. That they've ever told, I should say. Anybody dare to disagree?
No. I think it's pretty solid. It always was. I think when people think back to the good times in WWE, it's probably that storyline.
Yeah. Dean wants to disagree, but he can't decide.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, it was pretty defining, wasn't it? It was kind of era defining. And I think a lot of the stuff that happened off the back of Austin becoming the character that he did, and the Mr. McMahon character, and the interplay between the two of them, you couldn't really imagine an Attitude Era without that. So, best of all time, maybe.
Story-wise.
I think Dean's getting I think because he's enjoying Bobby Lashley and Rusev so much right now. It's just.
Well, when we were briefly talking about this before, you guys were threatening to talk about the Mae Young hand thing. So I could just shut up and say, yeah, good choice.
All right, well, I'll bring it back to. So in the dark matches, you had Christian and Jeff Hardy, and the Job Squad and Too Much, also known as Too Cool. I actually don't remember them two matches. They would have been on Sunday Night Heat, from what I remember. But the Mankind versus Mabel, were they dark match? The H was Sunday Night Heat. So apparently Job Squad and Too Much, and then the Mankind versus Mabel were on Heat. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but I did watch the Royal Rumble in the background at work earlier on today. Just because it's awesome. I love the stories all. So to kick off that was Big Boss Man versus Road Dogg. Not really much to say about that. It wasn't exactly the greatest kickoff to. I guess it was just a simple heel versus babyface. The Road Dogg got his shine in. Everybody was happy. All the catchphrases were thrown out, and the crowd were just happy to be there. If anything. One thing that I actually did love about this pay-per-view, and it definitely shows in the actual Royal Rumble match, is how hot the crowd was. You could not ever beat a mid-Attitude Era 98, 99. The crowd were just buzzing all night, and especially for the Rumble. Even when you had lower to mid-carders come out, like Kurgan, for example. Do you remember his theme tune? Everybody come see the greatest show. Nah, dum, get your ass out of the way, cause here he comes. It's so good. And the whole crowd were all jumping on their feet and waving their arms back and forth. They do not do that nowadays, do they? There's no wrestler which...
It's a bit different now.
And everybody had...
Hold up though, but to be fair, back in the day, the Bushwhackers used to come and lick people in the crowd.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'll be honoured. I'll be honoured to be a licky.
I'm pretty sure they're both still alive and doing the convention circuit. So
I
live
think
the dream.
I think I met them. I think I met one of them once. It was it was like probably 98 or 99. My I think it was my dad got some tickets somehow to some independent wrestling show, which was, I think it was in the Alexandra Theatre in Birmingham. From what I remember, this was years and years ago, and one of the Bushwhackers was there. And I remember after the show, one of the Bushwhackers. Do you remember the fake Undertaker?
Yeah.
Not the one that appeared on the WWF shows, but the UK fake Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
He was there as well, and there was another WWF guy, but I can't remember who it was. It might have been like Coco Beware or something. I genuinely can't remember, but I actually remember my brother shouting over to me, "There's Bushwhacker," probably Luke, I'm guessing, I've no idea. And I was like 7 or 8, and we just both ran over there and met him. That's my story. Hope you was entertained.
Did he lick you? Do you remember being licked?
I wasn't licked. I think there was child prevention laws stopping him from licking me.
Probably not about them.
How old do you think I am? Second match on the card was Shamrock and Billy Gunn, and that was for the Intercontinental title. Again, that was just a standard heel versus face. Shamrock was part of the corporation, from what I remember, which again, the Gang Wars storyline throughout 98, 99, where you had DX versus Corporation, and what was Mankind's one? The Union, and the Ministry, because then you had the Corporation and the Ministry, them two joined together, and it was just like, what is going on every week? It's like if you missed one Raw, you were fucked. It's like you had to go back and watch it, and it was, I guess depending on when you started watching wrestling, and that depends on what your favourite era was. I started watching mid 90s, and then I was proper into it at the late 90s, and just the whole gang wars storyline. Sorry, I just thought I loved it. So in this, you had Corporation versus DX, Ken Shamrock and Billy Gunn. The angle going into this was Shamrock attacked and injured Billy Gunn after the match, which then led Billy Gunn going into a lesser possibility of winning the Rumble later on. X-Pac and Gangrel for the European title. Not much to talk about that. Apart from Gangrel was awesome. I absolutely loved him. His entrance was the best, right? Gangrel's entrance.
No.
Walking through the circle fire? How cool was that?
I mean, it was cool. I don't think I've seen that.
I'm not saying it was the greatest entrance ever. I'm just saying it was really cool.
Isn't that what the best is?
All right. Okay. All right.
It's the same thing, right?
It sounds like the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It was an awesome entrance then.
Awesome. I'll give you credit on that. Yeah.
And then starting off the, shall I say it, the Divas Revolution. Sable and Luna, rest in peace, Luna.
Oh, Luna Vachon.
Luna Vachon was, she was amazing. She was.
I loved Luna.
Yeah, she was. She genuinely freaked me out as a kid. She actually really freaked me out. Seeing the tattoo makeup thing of the veins going on the side of her head, as like a 5-6-year-old looking at that freaked you out a little bit. That was actually
like
really
from like Mad Max.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen Mad Max, but from what I know of it, it probably is quite similar to it.
Yeah.
They had a strap match from what I remember, and then Sable caned the shit out of her because earlier in the night, Luna attacked Sable, damaged her back, and then Luna got her comeuppance from Sable, and everyone went home happy. Until the Rock versus Mankind match, which was, I believe, one of the matches that defined both The Rock and Mankind. It's, without sounding cliche, it cemented Mankind as a guy that can take shit. He can take a beating. Anybody remember that match?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember the chair shots?
Ooh.
Like, watching it back earlier on.
Yeah. I've watched it back before, and they're fucking nasty.
It's genuinely, it's disgusting. Actually, is looking back on that, even though I know, wrestling predetermined and it's not real, whatever, you still can't fake a shot to the head.
No.
The blood that was coming out of Mankind was real. I have no idea if it was real or not, to be quite honest with you, but it bloody looked like it. And the amount of chair shots that he took was disgusting. And then not the finish to the match, there was one big spot of the match where Rock and Mankind was on top of the soundstage. Rock took Mankind out with the low blow, and then I think he chair shotted him, or he low blowed him, I think he was, onto a bunch of electrical boxes. That all blew up. The attention to a detail was actually really cool on that too, because they actually flicked out the lights on within the arena, which I thought was quite a nice little touch, just to sell the effect even more. And then the infamous finish to that actual match as well, where The Rock used a pre-recorded
I quit
speech of Mankind shouting "I quit," because his gimmick being he doesn't say "I quit," but he said it. It's like it actually made me laugh when I was watching it back this afternoon time. Michael Cole, who I still can't stand, he was on commentary saying that Mankind has never said "I quit." He's never ever said it. He refuses to actually say it. It's like even in backstage segments, whatever. So how did The Rock get that recording of him actually saying "I quit" a few times, which didn't really make too much sense to me. But from what I remember, he said it in a promo, and then they grabbed that, and then they just put it over the microphone from when he said. But career-defining match, in my opinion, for The Rock and Mankind. Anybody want to add?
I'd say it's probably the one match where Mankind's more remembered than anything else after the Taker match.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's when you think of
Mankind,
you think of, well, first is obviously the Taker match, it's Steel Cage, and then the second one is the Rock I Quit match.
Yeah. Third one is his championship win against Triple H.
Yeah.
Was it on Raw? I think it was Triple H. No, Rock. It was Rock, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember, but that was the match that WCW tried to spoil, and it completely backfired on them, and all the viewers wanted to see Mankind win the belt. It's like fair play to you. Cheaters never prosper.
Cheaters never prosper.
And then we
learned from WWE, WWF.
And then we have the main event, which, in my personal opinion, I loved it. So many people online shit on this Rumble match because it wasn't making a star, which I disagree with, because Mr. McMahon was a young rookie, and he was he was trying to make a name for himself, and fair play to him. He managed to win the match. He outlasted all 28 men and one woman, and he won the match, and he went on to big things. I think he's running the place now, as far as I don't know. This was another. Pardon me. That's better. This was another match to me of the reason why it's so big to me is because of also China. also rest in peace. She. I hate using the words, but defined the women's evolution. Oh, it's so overused today. But she was the one that was the first ever woman, and I think there's only ever been 3 altogether women that have done the Rumble. Karma.
No, it's more a little bit Karma, Beth Phoenix.
Beth.
You got.
Has Lita?
Not Tamina. Lita's probably did it.
Has she done it?
I don't know, because normally they put in the big women, in it.
Yeah.
So Beth, Karma, and you've got. Who's the one that just did it last year? I can't remember her name.
Nia Jax.
Nia Jax.
There you go. That's the one.
So there's been 4 then, to be fair. Although I don't count Nia Jax because she was basically put into it just to. Women are equal. Yeah, all right, calm down. So you had China coming into this match, which was the very first woman ever to possibly compete against men, maybe. Actually, no, because she did do the corporate battle royal as well, didn't she? So technically, no, that's not true. But still, the storyline going into the pay-per-view itself into the Rumble match was Mr. McMahon going nuts and offering out $100,000, boys, $100,000 to any wrestler that can throw out Stone Cold. And no one actually did apart from Vince himself, so he kept the money. So that story going into it. Do you remember the promos of Shane training up Vince?
Yes, the Rocky kind of motivational.
Yeah.
in like a warehouse somewhere,
Yeah.
flicking tires and swinging sledgehammers at random stuff.
Chasing chickens.
Chasing chickens. Didn't they do a spoof on him running up some stairs as well, and doing the whole kind of?
I think so. I think they did.
Rocky.
Inspirational training.
It was so good. That was quality.
I've got it up now. Shane driving along in a limo while Vince chases.
It was so good. And then so obviously Austin entered number 1. It was, wasn't it? Yeah, Austin entered number 1, and then McMahon entered number 2. And the shock of everybody in the audience, I don't care who you were, nobody was expecting Vince to have such a 6-pack and have the body of what he had for, at that time, he must have been into his early 50s, I'm guessing. He was built. I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was like, mate, if I ever looked like, how old would you have been? 74 now, so I'm so bad with maths. So he would have been 54. As a 54-year-old, that's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. So the story going into this, you had Vince wanting anybody offering $100,000 to chuck Austin out. And what was the other story going into the match as well? I'll think of it in a second. But you had the characters were number 1 to me as well within this. Obviously, at number 6 you had Gilbert.
Yeah, I'm just going down the list now.
The man they call Gilbert with his pyro and everything. Remember his little sparklers?
Oh yeah, those.
He had sparklers and then he had the fire extinguishers too. That was quality. But you had people like Droz, Golga, also known as Earthquake, Steve Blackman, the young rookie, Dan Seven, never a fan of him. Tiger Ali Singh, wasn't a fan of him. The Blue Meanie, fresh out of ECW. It was meant to be Marsh, but then Mabel attacked him, came out. Which they really need to put like a rule behind that. Like, you can't keep attacking people to get their places. It's not fair. Road Dogg, Gangrel Kurgan, Al Snow Goldust. Love Goldust. Always been. He was actually always my favourite in '99 time. Then, then Godfather, Kane, Shamrock, Billy Gunn, Test, Bossman, Triple H. Actually, that was another reason of why I love this as well, because Triple H didn't have to put himself over all the time. It's like he actually put other people over, so that was quite nice to see. Val Venus, X-Pac, Mark Henry, Jeff Jarrett, D'Lo, Owen Hart, and Chyna. You've got to think that Rumble technically only really had one main eventer. Everybody else was all mid-carders. I'm just looking down the list, and all of them were like, yeah, they were all mid-carders.
Yeah, there's not really like...
Which just shows when you've got... I mean, yeah, Kane was technically a main eventer at that point too. Okay, so let's just say 2 then. But
yeah,
when else in time have you been able to have a Rumble just full of mid-carders? You'll be pissed off now if next year's pay-per-view was just full of mid-carders that no one cares about. But because everybody here had characters and had gimmicks and had something about themselves, that actually made you quite interested into watching it. I loved it. It was an absolute awesome pay-per-view. Quick overview of what happened afterwards. So Austin got taken out by the corporation. They trapped Austin in the women's toilets. Attacked Austin. He went off to the hospital. Came back like 10 minutes later. Wasn't really much of a hospital visit, but then again, the Rumble's only like an hour long. And then Austin lasted throughout the Rumble itself. Rock came down, distracted Austin, which nicely set up WrestleMania. Vince chucked out Austin. Then the following pay-per-view, St. Valentine's Day Massacre, introduced the Big Show, which was one of the best decisions of what they could have done as well, up until about 2003 when Big Show just got stale. And then, what was it? Big Show picked up Austin, threw him against the cage. Cage opened. Austin landed on his feet. He became the number 1 contender for Mania. And if it wasn't for the Rumble, that wouldn't have happened. Austin versus Rock wouldn't have happened otherwise. Oh wait, no, it wasn't. That was WrestleMania 99. What was the main event for 99 Mania? Austin Rock. Okay, yeah. Okay. With Mankind as the ref. Which, again, I think that was an awesome Mania too. There's my 2 cents.
Some good Manias towards the end of the 90s, early 2000s.
That was when they actually bothered trying and actually made a decent pay-per-view.
Was awesome.
So that was that's
when they tried.
Yeah, it's when they actually let the wrestlers just go for it, and here's a character, make it your own, you sink or swim, your choice. Just go and make something out of yourself, and 9 times out of 10, all the wrestlers went for it and just made something really cool. That was So that's my favourite pay-per-view anyway. If we're going in, when was yours? Was 2002, wasn't it, Ash? But Mania. So actually, that's
2003.
Oh, 3. Sorry.
Yeah,
okay,
mine was 2002.
Okay, we got up next Dean on the microphone with SummerSlam 2002.
I really, really love SummerSlam. Generally, really, it's always it tends to be a pretty strong moment in the kind of wrestling calendar for me. Rumble usually is my favourite overall event, just because of the nature of the.
I think it's excitement with Rumble.
Yeah,
like, there's just something different about it. It's just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, the unpredictability of it, I really, really like. But when you're looking at an entire card and trying to say, okay, top to bottom, this is probably the best one that we've got. That's why a lot of my kind of favourite shows that have got my favourite matches on, I probably wouldn't be able to talk about tonight. But SummerSlam 2002 is, I think, really, really strong from the opening bell right to the very, very end. And there's some quite kind of historic moments as well. So, dark match, which we won't really talk about because it only went for about 2 minutes anyway, was Spike Dudley against Stevie Richards. Spike bumping like Spike does, and Stevie Richards doing what Stevie Richards does. But I don't think he was doing the whole head thing though. Then wasn't he? He didn't have. Did he have head?
That was Al Snow.
That was Al Snow.
Stevie Richards never really had a gimmick until the Right to Censor, but that ended in 2000, maybe one. As far as I'm not too sure.
Of course, it was.
But Spike Dudley, again, rest in peace. it's actually crazy.
Oh, Spike's not dead, is he?
Is he not?
No.
No, sorry,
I'm
no.
sure I heard about it.
No, sorry, he's not. Who am I thinking is dead?
I think Big Dick Dudley's dead.
I think I might be confusing myself with him then. Sorry, Spike, if you're watching. If you are watching, by the way, let me know.
So yeah, we had the two of those guys. They did make it onto TV. It got onto Sunday Night Heat. But the opener proper for the show was one of Kurt Angle's first matches in the company, and he was taking on Rey Mysterio. Both of them actually were pretty early on in their careers with the WWE. Kurt wins that one by submission. Really, really nice match, actually. Nice showcase for the both of them. Going to go through these super quick because I want to get to the important stuff. Second match of the night, proper, is Ric Flair versus Chris Jericho. I mean, come on.
You can't ask for any more star power than
it's lovely, right?
The biggest guy from the early 90s to the biggest... I'd say the biggest mid to main carder of the late 90s, early 2000s time. And then the stuff that he's doing today is pretty decent. It's not too bad.
a little bit of, well, yeah. Let's not do that.
Little bit of the bubbly!
It was a movie I saw last night.
And then, now, we do have to say rest in peace for this next one. We have Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Who goes down to Edge, who wins in a pretty nice singles match. Un-Americans, the whole Christian and Lance Storm thing. I always have a bit of an issue with the Un-Americans angle because really they weren't really un-American as such. They were just really, really kind of pro-Canadian.
Yeah.
It was back in that era where if you were anything other than American, you had to be anti-patriotic against America. So,
that's exactly what I was about to say. They've done that. They've milked that storyline so many times, especially in the late 80s, early 90s. Anyway, with the Iraq War, especially between.
Way to build heat, though, isn't it?
It's just
If you can't think of a story, boom, against America.
Exactly. It's just too simple, and there's literally no thought ever being actually put into it. Like with Sergeant Slaughter and Hulk Hogan, why did Sergeant Slaughter turn heel and become a Iraq synthesizer? It's like it's lazy. It was stupid. Anyway, sorry, mate. Just the whole anti-America storyline to me is just lazy.
And to give them more heat, of course, the championship's on them because going into that they were the tag team champions at the time. They faced off against the unlikely pairing of, because there was a weird bit of sexual chemistry going on between Kitty and Goldust.
Yeah,
One of your
of course.
I love Goldust because he represented those with a stammer. Was it at that point as well where he electrocuted himself and then he started going around with a stammer, or was that later on? I think that was 2003, maybe. I'm not too sure. I might be probably like a year out or something. But that was fucking hilarious.
I just remember loads of moments of essentially Goldust hitting on Booker T and Booker T just kind of completely deadpanning it and busting out the whole, tell me he did not just say that thing. But yeah, anyway, Un-Americans win. They retain. So first championship match of the night and the champions. Then we have Chris Benoit, who was the Intercontinental Champion at that point, going in for a match against Rob Van Dam.
Can I just make sure with the producer that we can definitely bleep? Can we bleep out the Chris bit? Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry. So that match didn't happen.
It's been wiped from the history book. It's a shame. I fucking love Chris Benoit.
Great.
I used to the very brief times of when I watched WCW in the late 90s. I remember because we couldn't afford TV. I think we had basic cable at some point, and that carried that carried WCW, and he was literally one of the only guys that I actually really enjoyed watching on WCW, because I was always very anti WCW. And then when him and the Radicals came over in early 2000s, and I saw Benoit coming over, I was like, fucking awesome. And then it was just a massive shame that he didn't have the career of he didn't have the longevity of a career of what he should do. But with that match against RVD, I don't remember it off the top of my head completely, but I do remember that them two worked really well. Was that actually that was only one of the two matches on the whole card of where the titles changed as well?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So RVD picked up the win, and it was a pretty stiff match actually. The two of them beat the crap out of one another for about 15 minutes. It was, it is always difficult talking about Benoit matches because it's hard to separate the man and what he did, and the double murder suicide. It's impossible to talk about his legacy without ultimately going to.
There'll always be that asterisk.
But
so if you caveat it with that and say, yes, that's horrific, yes, that was monstrous, yes, it was a tragedy. God, when he was at his prime, he was amazing, and this was a really, really good match actually to put over RVD. But
it's a shame because Benoit's one of those characters of where he was just amazing. He was such a natural. But when you do think about this sort of stuff, you got to think of the positives. And I always enjoyed him for what he did. Try not to think about what he did later on, but it's a shame. It just happens to some people, I guess, and I like to concentrate on the good, positive things in people's lives.
But yeah, let's overlook the fact that he lost then, because that probably wasn't great.
Yeah.
for the late suicidal double murderer Chris Benoit. Then after that, we've got a singles match with Undertaker and Test, pretty much a squash, really. Test was tall. Test had an angle with Stephanie McMahon.
Do you want to know something quickly?
Yes.
I don't remember that. Undertaker versus Test. That was how memorable it was. Test was
boring.
Test was brought in because Vince went, oh, he's big, oh, he's got muscles, and I can't stop moving myself. Test was dreadful, even though rest in peace and all that crap. It's crazy to think, right? What myself, my brother, and my brother's mate we used to do a couple of years ago. We used to have like a little wrestling night where we used to watch old pay-per-views, and just for laughs, although it's not really funny, we used to do like death counts, and like we used to watch all the wrestlers coming down, going, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead. And it's like, watch a pay-per-view from like 92, and it's pretty much like 80% of the roster's dead now. And then you look at the reasons why, it's all steroid abuse and crap like that. It's ridiculous. But
if you really want a depressing night, just go for early stuff from ECW.
Yeah.
Because the WCW and the WWF, WWE, they've not got the best record of, wrestlers having long and healthy lives.
Yeah.
ECW, it's ridiculous.
It's even worse.
I reviewed, I can't even remember which one it was. It might have been December to Dismember or something like that. I reviewed one of the early ECW pay-per-view shows. And I think in the first 7 matches, at least one of every competitor, of every team or single, had died.
Yeah.
By the time that I was reviewing it, and it's like, ooh, this is not great. And some of them you can kind of understand because you had like 600-pound guys that clearly probably didn't have the healthiest hearts in the world and stuff. But then you've also got young, talented guys like Steve Corino and stuff who just died way, way, way too young.
Well, it's because in ECW, because they were all extreme and they all wanted to top each other, they all topped one another, and they just did this might be libel, but as far as I'm aware, they all just for what drugs can you take? I can do more than you. And then the drugs have just taken its course, and within a few years later, I mean, God, there was, if anybody watches, I think it was What Culture Wrestling on YouTube, they did a video not too long ago where all the wrestlers from the first ECW pay-per-view, I think it was, and they basically went down the list of like this person that I can't think of the top of my head, and it's like, yeah, this person's died, this person's died, this person's died, and it was all like drug abuse or their fucking heart just failed or something, and it's just like that's so depressing that wrestlers in the mid-90s, it was just so normal for them to actually do that.
But to turn things on a slightly lighter note, we've got we've got 2 more matches to go. It's probably worth saying that we're right in the middle of the brand split here, so we do have the Raw and SmackDown thing going kind of side by side.
Yeah.
But they were playing around with the idea of both Raw and SmackDown having a main event on shows like these. So, and thankfully, everybody that I'm going to talk about now is still alive. Score.
Woo.
So this will make you happy, actually, Dan. We've got Shawn Michaels versus Triple H in an unsanctioned street fight, which was amazing, but actually not my pick of the night.
Do you remember the promo? What Shawn Michaels and for the Shawn Michaels and Triple H match?
Yeah, I do.
That promo was amazing because
it's shocking, really, when you think that looking back, he was actually out of the ring. This was his first time back in the ring to compete in about 4 years, and I'd completely forgotten about that until I watched it back.
Yeah.
Because of the back injury that he suffered 4 years prior. So for Shawn to be back at all was a big deal.
100%. It was absolutely massive. And I remember watching the promo, and you had Shawn Michaels in front of the camera. I think it was first broadcast on Raw, but I remember Shawn looking at the camera with his gravelly voice, going something like, Triple H, the doctors have cleared me from maybe say SummerSlam. And that has just always stuck in my head. It's like, I was 11, I think I was 11 at that point watching this. And obviously Shawn at that point was still my number one guy. And I was just like, fucking hell, he's coming back to wrestle. Absolutely nuts. Because they did that storyline a couple of months ago where Shawn came back. He was
Generation X. Did they do?
Yeah, I was just going to mention the NWO thing first. Oh no, that was later. No, that was 2002, wasn't it? I think. I'm not too sure. I think it was he came back as NWO first. No, that was later on. I don't know. But then he came back with Triple H. He redid DX, sorry, and even then, like seeing DX's entrance 4 years later, 11-year-old Dan just went nuts. I was so I was genuinely so excited. Loved it.
We know that you're a Shawn Michaels mark, so presumably you're like super excited because he's back, even more excited because he does the roll up of death for the win, and then heartbroken again because Triple H just beats the crap out of him with a sledgehammer.
You know what? I was
actually on his big return. He ends up being wheeled out of the arena on a stretcher, and I remember watching it being like, was that it? Was it one and done or what? But,
I remember watching it and I was genuinely gutted that happened at the end because I just wanted a nice ending for Shawn, but that obviously led him to go to Survivor Series and win the belt, and I was buzzing for that as well. Quick bit of trivia, right? This hand right here has tapped Shawn Michaels' chest there. Wait, let me switch the camera. There. I tapped Shawn Michaels' chest, so I fucking love that guy.
Strangely enough, I met Shawn Michaels and he told me, see this?
Some twat.
Some twat in Birmingham.
It was disgusting.
So yeah, that was a crazy good match. Really, really, really good stuff. But the reason why I picked SummerSlam 2002 is for the main event proper, which is Brock and Rock.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Looking back now to how Brock was back in 2002, and how fast he was, but still crazy powerful. The move set that he used to have, and just the fire that it felt like he had inside him back then. Still with Paul Heyman, even back then, so he still had his mouth, he still had his comfort blanket, because who doesn't want to cuddle Paul Heyman, right?
I would love to give Paul a quick cuddle,
especially with the ponytail.
I would have yanked his ponytail.
With his hand. With the hand.
With the left hand, because that's just a bit weird to mix Shawn and Paul Heyman together. I'll just do it with my left hand instead.
Okay, fair. So yeah, obviously for the Undisputed Championship, Rock is going in as the champion. Brock is the challenger, obviously. Stupidly, ridiculously good match. Both really in their prime. Everybody knows that Rock is stepping away for a little while. He takes about a 6 months or so.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It is.
And it's no secret as well that he's stepping away for a bit, because this is the point when he's kind of starting to dabble with, or people are starting to realize that he's like crazy marketable, and that he could have a career outside of pro wrestling.
Was that when he went off to do the Mummy at that point?
I think it may have been there or thereabouts, because he was gone for about 6 months or so, and
he come back in February.
It was back in time for Mania, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's one of my matches.
Yeah. But I just love the match. I love the chemistry between the two of them. I love the fact that I'm not going to say that Brock doesn't care anymore, but it really looked like he cared back then. And the two of them, I mean, Rock was crazy hot at the time. He had an awful lot of heat with the crowd. Both young, both really, really eager to properly main event a show. I'm watching it back, because I watched it back just recently in preparation to tonight, and it's just a quality match. Lesnar absolutely on form, Rock being the best that you'll see him, and a really hot finish as well. And I think, if memory serves, it made Brock the youngest ever.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was.
Yes, it was. I'm cheating because I'm looking at Wikipedia, but he became the youngest world champion until Randy Orton picked up the World Heavyweight Championship, and he was a little bit younger than Lesnar. But a whole bunch of reasons why it was historic, a whole bunch of reasons why it was important. It obviously sent Rock away, so one of the WWE's biggest, most bankable stars walked out of the door for a while, and Brock carried the belt and defending it more than once a year. So, yay.
Well, no, come on. It's like when Brock has been defending the belt for the past few years. It is the universal title, and he has been defending it all across the universe. So
He does have to travel. We just don't see him all the time, is all.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fucking traveling for like years upon end to actually get to these galaxies.
But yeah, I mean, anybody got any memories of that particular show? Because I just geek out over it still. I think it's a really, really strong show. A really, really good main event to close. Yeah, I loved it.
I loved it too. I loved, obviously, Shawn and Triple H. That build up to that of, the reasoning for that match was when Shawn, it was just when Shawn came back and Triple H and Shawn did the whole DX reunion, woohoo! And then let's get ready to suck it. Then Triple H stepped back, turned to Shawn, and then gave him the pedigree. I remember watching that. Fuck me, I was gutted. I was so wanting DX back, and then he just pedigreed him out of nowhere. I was so pissed. But then you've got Taker and Test. Genuinely don't remember that match.
No, I don't remember too many test matches, to be honest.
No.
It was pretty forgettable. But
Yeah.
Again, but Benoit gutted. Eddie gutted. And probably what would you have said of Match of the Night?
Oh, Match of the Night was absolutely rock.
Rock a Brock. Fair enough.
For sure. For me, anyway.
I need to go watch it back tomorrow. I think that's something to do at work. Cool. All right, then. Let's travel forward. Let's do the maths. I can't do the maths. 6, 7, 8 months. 8 months.
8 months.
WrestleMania 19.
WrestleMania 19. So, as I said earlier, this was a birthday present. It was March 30th. So just the day after my birthday. So it was bought for me as a birthday present. Like it was most years back then. But oh bugger.
So did you watch it live?
So, pardon?
Sorry, did you watch it live?
So I believe the week after was Easter. So on Sunday night.
Oh, okay, got you.
I was only just turned 13.
That makes sense.
So I was in year 7. Yeah, year 7. I would have been.
We only knew each other for like 3 years.
So got to stay off. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'll run down the card, but there's pretty much 3 matches that I think kind of define the card for me. Across it. Probably other people, they might take other matches, but for me it's just there's 3 main. So the card started off with World Tag Team titles. So you had Chief Morley and Lance, champions versus RVD and Kane. We had the Cruiserweight Matt Hardy 2.0.
Loved. My God, I loved that gimmick so much. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like when you were watching live on TV and it give you like the Matt Hardy facts and stuff.
I loved it so much.
They were the best.
Matt likes orange juice. It's just
one of the weirdest ones I remember reading was Matt Hardy eats slow so he fills up quicker. I was like,
I love it.
It's just weird. And Matt faced Rey Mysterio for the Cruiserweight Championship. So I remember the promos before you had like Matt's segments where he was trying to lose all the little bits of weight just so he could make the weight for Cruiserweight.
Yeah.
So Matt was the champ going in, and he came out as champ as well. You had the handicap match of Taker versus Big Show and A-Train.
Yep. That was meant to be a tag match, wasn't it? That was meant to be with Nathan Jones.
Yeah, and then Nathan Jones broke his neck or some shit, wasn't it?
But no, basically, well, in terms of storyline, Nathan Jones got attacked, but in real life, basically Vince turned around and he said, "Nah, he
wasn't good.
He's not going to fucking WrestleMania, no way."
No. So I remember like the months of build-up you had for Nathan Jones. He'd come in and he was just goddamn awful.
Oh, 100%. He had no idea what the hell he was doing.
No. So next match, women's match, Trish versus Victoria versus Jazz.
Before you dive into those, can I just say that I've just started looking at some of the Matt facts. Oh my god, some of this is golden.
Go on, give
I've
us some.
completely forgotten about this until you mentioned it, Ash.
Yeah.
Matt likes English muffins.
Yes, he does.
Matt believes that Thanksgiving is a boring holiday.
They're just the best.
Matt is miserable when dieting. And Matt's chest hair grows really quickly.
I love it.
Reminded me about those, dude. I didn't mean to interrupt, but they are.
No, it's perfect. I mean, they were some of the best things on TV at the time.
That was good. That was good.
They're like better than Chuck Norris quotes.
Have you all heard that Matt he's been doing it on his Matt Hardy brand channel on YouTube, sorry. He's been going back into his old characters, and
Apparently he was on Raw, wasn't he? A couple of weeks ago.
He was, yeah, it was the week before last, so last week. But he basically jobbed to, who was it now? I genuinely can't remember. Kurt Hawkins, I think it was.
Oh Jesus!
He jobbed to him in like 4 minutes or 3 minutes or something, but like the internet's been buzzing for him to go back into the whole Matt Hardy gimmick
3.0
train or something, and just for him to do his balling gimmick, his version 1, his Hardy Boys gimmick that he kind of did. Was it the Rumble? He came out dressed as himself, as his old Matt Hardy self.
Yeah.
And the broken gimmick, which was ruined, Brian.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. He's woken Matt Hardy.
Woken, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, awful.
Either do it or don't.
Yeah,
Let's either do it properly or don't.
I'm pretty sure he even had the rights for it as well. It was just he
Yeah,
won the rights for it for on TNA.
yeah. I think it took a few months, but he finally got the rights to it, and then they just went, "Oh, we're gonna keep him as Woken." No, sorry, Broken. No,
Yeah.
was it
I
Broken?
don't know. It was broken in TNA, wasn't it? Broken Matt
So
Hardy.
he was Woken in W. Yeah, and it was just it was terrible. They basically should have went, Matt, here's your gimmick, your character of what you've created, you run with it. But they went, oh no, creative writing can do better. Oh no, it's terrible.
Certainly not. And then next match, WWE Tag. This was Team Angle versus Benoit and Rhino versus Los Guerreros.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Team Angle won. Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas.
Yep.
Side note, love Charlie Haas when he started to do his rip-off gimmicks where he started to copy other wrestlers.
Oh yeah, he did, didn't he? He did like a...
He did, yeah.
Did he do... Pardon me, sorry. Did he do a Hogan
Hoss
gimmick
Hogan?
at some point? He did. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
But yeah, then so the next match is probably one of my favorite Mania or just wrestling matches ever, which was Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels.
Oh yeah.
So, and the story was obviously Chris Jericho idolized HBK growing up.
Mm-hmm.
It was his hero, and then he became obsessed with ending Shawn Michaels' career.
Yep.
And that's what the match was about.
Do you know my favourite bit of that match?
Well, for me, it's probably the frickin' ending. Well, after the ending.
I was about to say...
Kicking the bloody nuts. Like the
yeah.
double cross. Right, I think it made the match. I think that whole thing when it was, they've got the whole respect, and then it's just
It's
absolute disrespect.
It kept Jericho being a bastard, basically.
Yeah.
If they basically shook hands and hugged each other and just walked off.
There's too many times these days where there's people, the wrestling will be too good, so the crowd will make that wrestler like seemed like a face, but and then they refused to do anything to
Yeah.
put him back on the path, and that's exactly what that was.
I think my
Um,
favourite part of the match was Shawn Michaels' entrance when he had those hand cannon things.
yeah. Okay.
And then and then he tried to let him off, and then about 4 of them didn't work. He just looked so
Yeah,
stupid.
So yeah, the tail off the match was Jericho essentially wrestling as Shawn. His whole skill set, his whole moves, how he wrestled, and then he just couldn't get the job done, and HBK was the better wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the kick to the nuts after the thing just cemented how good of a match it was for me. After that, we've got the World Heavyweight Championship, which is Triple H, Booker T. Triple H had Motorhead. It was the Motorhead entrance, I believe it was, for that Mania.
Was that? Oh, was that?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
That was Motorhead Live, wasn't it?
Yeah. Motorhead were there live to play Triple H down. So there's always Triple H.
Was that? That was 2003. So yeah, that would have been time to play the game, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Um,
Oh God, the whole Triple H Booker T thing wasn't that?
yeah.
Wasn't that outed as like a massive racist storyline?
Well, they still talk about it, obviously, when Kofi won it like last year, how Triple H pretty much shat on Booker T. And this should have been the first black champion.
Oh,
People were saying,
okay.
they still say to this day.
I can't remember the exact quotes, but looking back on it now, obviously times have changed. 2019, everybody gets offended over nothing and everything. But obviously looking back on it now, I can't remember the exact quotes of what Triple H said, but it was actually pretty dodgy.
It sounded like a shovel.
Yeah. It was like, dude, don't say that. That's pretty bad.
Yeah. So next match we've got a streak, which was Hogan versus Vince. If Hogan lost, I believe he had to retire.
Right.
But obviously Hogan being Hogan gets the win.
Wasn't that pretty much like a squash match as far as I remember? Hogan just demolished Vince.
Pretty much.
Right.
It was yeah. See if I can get the time off the match up.
20 minutes 47.
Okay.
A pretty long squash, but I don't remember Vince getting much into it. Oh wait, no. Actually, to be honest, I think as far as I remember, Vince had Hogan for like the first 5 minutes or so, and then Hogan just smashed it for the remaining 15 or something. But it was pretty much like everybody wants to see Vince get his ass kicked, and Hogan is the man to do it. Like, especially with everything of what Hogan's gone through with Vince and having all those trials, and who sued who? Was it Vince? No, Hogan sued Vince, didn't he?
Yeah.
In the early 90s, I think. And then just seeing that all come together, that was like a cool.
Yeah.
Knock him out. You loved
it's
it.
not one of the more main sort of fights on, but I've got two more matches which are pretty big. I think that kind of make this card one of the best, which is a singles match between Rock and Stone Cold.
Mm-hmm.
And
wow.
Obviously you had, so linking back to Dean's pay-per-view, so Rock had been away for 6 months. He came back in February. In that time, Stone Cold won Superstar of the Decade, I believe it was.
Right.
And that's essentially what led to the whole feud between them, because Rock had an issue with it. And then he picked a fight with Stone Cold, because obviously he thought he was essentially better than him. And that's pretty much the whole basis of the feud, and it was just an incredible match. The Rock ended up winning. I think it was he had to, because they kept hitting each other's finishes throughout the match.
Yeah,
actually, I think it took 3 rock bombs.
Yeah.
At the end of the match for Steve Austin.
Yeah.
For Steve Austin to get pinned.
Yeah, they proper went in for it. As far as I might be wrong. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but obviously Austin did a few rock bottoms to
Yeah.
Rock, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, they traded moves.
They were
quite-
trading finishers towards the end. Yeah.
The one thing that I wanted to see
believe
that I don't think did
Austin
actually.
even hit the elbow.
I was about to say, did he put the elbow on him?
I don't know if he hit it though. I'm pretty sure he went for it. So after that was when he hit the three
Okay.
rock bombs. And then the final match, you have Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle. The story of friends who had then become foes.
Yeah.
And obviously it was because Kurt was the champion with Brock's help. I can't remember who won it off.
Was this before Team Angle happened, or was it after? Oh
No,
no, sorry.
Team Angle was on this card.
No, of course, sorry. Match 5 is Team. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah, the story was that obviously Brock had helped Kurt win the title. Brock won the number one's contender match. I cannot remember who that was against though. Was it a tournament? Yeah, it was a tournament. He won a tournament for number one contenders. And then obviously, no, ignore that. It was a Rumble winner. I'm sure he was. Brock won the Rumble.
Brock did, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was.
Didn't he have a really brief program with RVD for the Intercontinental as well, and that didn't really go?
Yeah. No, it went nowhere.
Was this the time of the brand split as well? So
Yeah. So
Brock and Angle, they were SmackDown, right?
Yeah.
Rock and Austin were Raw.
Raw, yeah. So this is
Okay,
where they were having two kind of like headliners.
Got it.
And that's what that was.
Sorry, because 2003 time, I didn't. Was this 2003? No, 2002. Sorry,
2003.
Three. I'm so bad with dates. So sorry, 2003 time was pretty much when I actually started watching wrestling for maybe like for maybe about 2 years or so. But I think I remember going to Adam Shrigley's house to watch this pay-per-view.
Okay.
But I genuinely don't really remember it too much.
But it was okay. So in this match, you had it was where Brock pretty much buggered up his neck doing the shooting star press.
Yeah. I was about to say to you, I'm pretty sure this match was when
it completely
nearly killed himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking idiot.
And it was after they'd come out, because I think Kurt took a bit of time after, because they said he had concussions and stuff from the match.
Right.
And then they had the tournament to see who would become number one contender for it. But yeah, that match is probably when I think of a Brock match, kind of for the wrong reasons, but for the right reasons as well.
Yeah. This was the most memorable one anyway.
Yeah. For me, like, this is Brock, where he thought he was unbreakable. Like, when Dean was saying he was athletic, he was fast. And this was Brock overestimating how quick and fast and athletic he was.
Apart from when he destroyed Cena in what, like 5 minutes. That was probably my favourite Cena match. My favourite Lesnar match.
The fallout from this Mania was a number one contender, which was then Cena.
Oh really?
Yeah. And that's who took. And that's when the Cena era essentially.
When did Cena debut? Cena debuted 2002, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. God, so he literally burst into the main event within like a year.
Yep.
Bloody hell.
Against Brock Lesnar, the other hot star.
And then it's been rammed down our throat fucking ever since.
For many, many years. But yeah, I'd say overall, the WWE Championship match, and then the two singles matches between HBK and Jericho and Rock and Stone Cold, just how big of stars they were, like, and just them being all on one show, you just don't get that too many. They just showed it kind of, for me, it's like you didn't need a title to. There's 2 matches here which are
Yeah.
above everything else where they don't have titles, and they just stand on a platform on their own.
Yeah.
Like,
You know what? I was just actually looking over the card, and Lesnar, Angle, Rock, Austin, Hogan, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker. Yeah. So what's that? 8. Those 8 people, in my opinion, are like massive how
That's what I mean.
how many pay-per-views have you had since, let's just say 2007? No, let's just say 2006. Ever since 2006, how many massive how many massive main eventers have you actually had within one card?
Well, that's the thing. Like, this is the time where they built stars.
Yeah.
Where
What's then
like,
a
Brock
couple of years
was-
later
Brock was
on?
pretty much a Vince McMahon creation.
Yeah.
Rock was, Stone Cold was, Hogan, Triple H, Shawn Michaels,
Which then about
Jericho.
3 years later, if your name wasn't Cena, Randy Orton, or Edge, you didn't have a chance of even getting onto the main event scene.
No. At that point, he had his guys and he just stuck with them. But,
Yeah.
And everything just changed, kind of for the worse.
But it's got to get better. It's gonna get better.
Yeah, better.
3 strong shows, though. 3, like...
3.
really-
Yeah. Like, you could put up an argument for all 3, I believe. I think my other one, if I didn't say 19, if one of you had chosen 19, was WrestleMania 17.
That was Taker versus Triple H.
Yes. It had...
If I'm right, I'm really sad and I need to get a life.
It had Austin Rock
Yeah.
as main event. Taker Triple H.
Fucking hell.
Shane McMahon versus Vince. Kurt, Chris Benoit.
I love that pay-per-view as well. It was one of those. Let me get the card up.
That's my note of mention. Pay-per-view was WrestleMania 17. I felt like we had to have a WrestleMania as one of the shows.
Yeah.
It's meant to be the biggest stage of the fucking wrestle calendar.
I mean, that was also Austin Rock as well. The main event though of the whole show, Iron Sheik eliminated Hillbilly Jim to win the gimmick battle royal. That was a classic.
In 3 minutes and 7. Just got that up.
Shane and Vince. Vince loves fucking WrestleManias, doesn't he? China and Ivory, love China. Angle, Benoit, love them both. Eddie Guerrero, Test, don't really care for both of them. Whoa. We've already had that discussion.
Not with me, you haven't.
Tell him how wrong he is.
You don't rate Eddie Guerrero.
I don't.
That's my question to him. It blew my bloody head.
Seriously.
I liked him. I liked him for what he did. I liked him in early 2000s time when he was doing the radical stuff with Benoit, Perry Saturn, and Dean Malenko, who I fucking used to love. Dean Malenko. I loved his James Bond gimmick. That was awesome. Go back onto YouTube and just listen to his music. His entrance music as his James Bond gimmick was fucking awesome. I love that. But Eddie, as a whole, put your guns away. In my opinion, he's totally overrated.
Watch your dirty mouth.
Ooh, ay.
Don't get me wrong. I loved.
I'll allow he's not my favourite wrestler. But I will not allow overrated.
I loved him for what he did with the whole lie, cheat, and steal.
You don't love anything if you call him overrated.
But I think he was overrated.
Oh my god. You're the only wrestling fan in the world.
No, he was.
Only wrestling fan in the world who will ever think Eddie Guerrero is overrated.
He was good for what he did, but I like he's like I mean,
he was good for what he did.
Ugh.
right? So he had that fucking. Okay, don't get me wrong. That was
no. Don't even try and explain yourself.
that was
Don't.
that was
Don't
booking's
try it.
fault with the Dominic storyline. That was dreadful. His feud with JBL wasn't really much of a fan of that. Who else did he even feud with? I didn't really like his entrance.
Bouncing out in the low
Oh
rider.
my god.
Every single week, I've seen it twice.
Live
Chill.
Low rider.
Feel thing. I mean,
Yeah, but just like the Fiend, it should be once every couple of months, not every single week on SmackDown.
Eddie Guerrero drives everywhere in his car. I show everyone his car.
And he's that fucking lazy. He can't park it in the fucking parking lot and then walk to the ring like everybody else. Oh, I'm special.
It's because there's parking fees.
these
Free parking out front.
these arenas are bloody expensive.
It's safe up there as well. Everyone's watching.
Anyway, you can all hate on me later on. Kane.
no, we'll do that right now.
Yeah.
Just like, give me massive death stares and then let's just forget about it. You had my probably, obviously within my top three, top favourite tag teams, APA. I love them. Just go back and watch their entrance video from like '99 or something. Oh, it pumps you up. You just want to fight someone. It's so good.
Well, yeah, we want to fight you. Yeah, because you're wrong about Eddie Guerrero. So yeah, we can relate to that.
We can.
As Kevin Owens said, fight me.
Wouldn't have to. We'll just fire the APA.
Then you had so that was Taz and APA versus Right to Censor. That was awesome. Right to Censor genuinely pissed everybody off. That was amazing. Jericho and Regal, love them both. Love Regal. That's pretty much that card. Oh yeah, then of course was that the TLC match. Actually, to be fair, WrestleMania 7.
That's one of the reasons why WrestleMania 17 was that TLC match.
Yeah, WrestleMania
It's the best tag team match ever.
was that the first one? No, that was the second one, was it? Because Lita, Rhino, and Spike interfered, didn't they? As far as I remember, the very first one was SummerSlam, the year before. Am I wrong?
Was it the first triple threat TLC?
That's what I'm thinking.
I genuinely can't remember. Whatever the SummerSlam before that was, I think, I don't know. Anyway, but that was a fucking awesome match anyway. That actually really was a very strong pay-per-view, looking it back on paper. It might be different watching it live because of Guerrero. But I'm joking. But no, that was absolutely classic. I think, yeah. Going back to Dean's point, I think that we've picked three really strong pay-per-views, all with different reasons. I love that we picked WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Rumble, which is the top three. Actually, I was like quite worried just in case someone turned around and said that my favourite pay-per-view was December to Dismember from like 2006 or 2007, whatever it was. My God, that was bad.
I was worried someone was going to choose Great Balls of Fire.
Oh, fucking hell. Well, I think that's where we should wrap it up. I think we've had really good pay-per-views there.
I think we've chosen three very good ones. helped us remember the good times of WWE.
Yeah, I think the tester is if you put any of those 3 pay-per-views in front of someone who was a bit meh about wrestling, would there be something on them that would, potentially hook them and get them excited and make them want to watch more? And I think for all of those, for the 3 pay-per-views that we've discussed, and actually the 4 or 5 that we ended up discussing, there's something for everybody, and there's something that really showcases why we love it.
I really agree with you.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's kind of the thing that kept me around is some of those matches, some of those cards.
And then watching all these previous pay-per-views from like 20 plus years ago, comparing it to today, it's going to get better. So it's got to get better. Me and Ash have it was more about Ash and his girlfriend. Basically, what happened when Ash and his girlfriend
idea
and
where this is going.
No.
don't worry, it's a PG family clean. Don't worry. Myself, Ash.
You've said fuck a lot for a PG.
I'll blame it on my stammer. Sorry, Ash, his girlfriend, me, and my girlfriend were out a couple of months ago, and Ash's girlfriend turned to me and she goes, "I don't know why Ash watches wrestling nowadays. It's like all he ever does is just really badmouth it. It's like there's never anything really good happening." And then Ash turned around, and then Ash said,
It has to get better.
"There you go." It will get better at some point. It's got to get better.
This was before AEW started.
Yeah.
I was going to say, so do you guys watch like any New Japan or any Ring of Honor or
New Japan I've watched sporadically. Like when the G1 stuff's on, I'll keep up with that quite a bit. Ring of Honor has died over the sort of last 2 years. I don't think it's what it was. TNA
NXT?
Was that sorry?
NXT?
Oh yeah. So on a Wednesday night live, I'll watch AEW, and then I'll watch NXT on the network the day after. Just because
it gives you something to do.
I gave enough time to WWE live over the years where I feel like I should give the new product my time at this point. Raw and SmackDown, probably since AEW started, I haven't watched a full episode live. Where before it started, I was watching it every Monday and Tuesday at the time. So obviously working as I do, I'll finish late sometimes, so I'll be up late. So it's just easy for me to watch them. But even if I'm up on a Monday night, I'll just end up watching American football rather than WWE. And it's hard. I'll look on YouTube to see certain clips and stuff, see if anything kind of pulls me in. But Raw and SmackDown, it's just not really done too much for me in the past, just years to be honest. But I've kept with it long enough. But mainly since AEW started, I've kind of given up a bit on Raw and SmackDown, which is a shame because we just got tickets for SmackDown in May. But I'm hoping by then it'll get better.
It will get better. We got.
I'm hoping the fallout from Mania. There'll still be something.
The only thing that will piss me off big time is if they do a draft between Mania and when we see it. I think we're seeing it May the 8th or something.
Yeah.
The only thing that is going to piss me off is if they do a draft the week before that we go and see it, and then they go and move the Fiend from SmackDown to Raw. That'll fuck me off so much.
Yeah, it'll be too annoying.
But pretty much exactly the same as Ash. Really, I try and watch New Japan. I only really watch it January for Wrestle Kingdom. The G1 doesn't bother me. I've not watched Raw or SmackDown probably in about 2 months. I'll try and watch the clips on YouTube, but even Ash texted me on Tuesday, and he goes, "I looked at the clips, the thumbnails and the titles on YouTube, and I'm not even going to bother wasting my time." And I said exactly that. Don't care. AEW, love it. It's the best thing going right now, in my opinion. And I'm very, very cynical over my wrestling. Orange Cassidy is my favourite right now. I absolutely love OC. He's amazing.
But the first time Dan ever saw him, Dan did not like him one bit.
Yeah.
I had to try and. I was trying to tell him why I loved him so much the first time I'd seen him, and like Dan just didn't kind of get it. But then as it went on, Dan just fell in love with it.
It's because I just saw him as just like, what the fuck's the like the very first time that I saw him was the All In Battle Royal, I think it was, as far as I remember. For AEW, and he just came into the ring, hands in his jeans, and then that was pretty much it. And I was like, right, where are we actually going with this? Like, what's the point in him? And then I looked on some of his stuff on YouTube. PWG, I think he did. Maybe something else, I'm not too sure. And then I actually understood his gimmick, and his gimmick of just being that I don't care. I don't want to be in the business. And then that just made me think, like, fuck, this is entertaining. This is so good. So I watch AEW every week on a Friday. I watch that during work. I don't watch Raw, don't watch SmackDown. I try and watch clips of SmackDown just for the Fiend, just see what he's up to. NXT, I've wanted to watch it, but ever since it went live, don't care anymore. I don't know what it is, just doesn't bother me.
WWE feel.
Yeah, it's just because I know for a fact that the only reason why they went live obviously was to compete with AWE, which is brilliant, don't get me wrong. I'd love a war. It's just not going to happen. It's not the 90s anymore. It's like people stop and record and they'll watch it in 5 days' time. There is no such thing as a ratings war anymore, or what it was used to be called anyway. So I don't really care too much about what's going on in NXT. I do love Keith Lee. Keith Lee's the future. I think he's awesome. Apart from that, they're literally only trying to bring in ex-NXT guys just to bring up the ratings for NXT.
I just got them. AEW
I don't care
this week.
What was the ratings numbers?
So AEW had 851, and
really
NXT had 845.
That was massive.
So AEW back up 200,000.
I was going to say last week it was like it was like 0.45. Was it last week?
Just over 0.6.
0.6. Fair play to them. I genuinely, obviously,
got 200,000 back.
I want them to like. It's like what I've said to Ash, literally so many times. What I want to happen is exactly how WCW did it, and I want AEW to at some point move to Mondays, and then obviously compete with Raw, and then I want them to hammer Raw, and then I want them to move to Fridays and absolutely smash SmackDown, and let's have a TV ratings war again. Let's make wrestling entertaining again. Make wrestling entertaining. MWEA. Because it will get better.
Because it will get better.
It's got to.
I'm just gonna get a T-shirt with it. T-shirt.
Make wrestling great again. Do it. That'd be so good. Dean, how about you?
I really really love NXT. I've found myself, especially when Takeover and a big WWE pay-per-view is sort of back to back Saturday and Sunday. I can't think of a time where the WWE show has excited me more than the NXT one has. NXT has given me some real like shout at the screen, really get into it, lose myself in it kind of moments. Much more so than WWE has done for a long, 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 long time. I'll still religiously watch the WWE pay-per-views.
I'm the same.
But the kind of emotional involvement, I really don't feel it the way I used to. And I kind of thought, well, is that just because I've kind of grown out of wrestling, or am I just watching it a little bit more casually now?
I thought exactly the same, to be fair, yeah.
But watching some of those NXT takeovers, it's kind of shown me actually no, it's just the content that I need that gets me that same kind of level of excitement and engagement and passion for it. And I don't really want to watch it just kind of in a kind of apathetic sort of just letting it wash over me kind of way. I want to care about it and shout about it and root for people and really get psyched about it. And I get that a lot from especially the big headline NXT shows. I am watching AEW. Usually I kind of split them up over a couple of days. But I must confess, same sort of situation with Raw and SmackDown. I can't think of the last time I watched the full episode of either show. It's just if young me heard me now saying this, it'd slap me. But there's just too much.
It's heartbreaking
content.
to think how it's changed. Like where I've gone from like watching religiously like Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, enjoying them both, enjoying the pay-per-views, couldn't get enough of the wrestling, to just where I am now, where, like, as you say, when I'm watching the WWE pay-per-views, I am just like watching them without any. I don't care for anything. Like, I don't care about the wrestlers. I don't care what really happens.
Well, like times
me and Dan have enjoyed. We watch NXTs on a Saturday night when they're on normally, and you will get invested a lot more into them.
Yeah,
like you'll enjoy them a lot more. Like, as you say, like when you've got back-to-back shows, one on Saturday or one Sunday night, there's never been a case where the WWE show even held up to anywhere near the NXT. No. NXT has always blown it out of the water.
And they're leaner.
And it's crazy.
They're tighter shows. They're smartly written. They've got a big focus on the athleticism and the in-ring storytelling, as opposed to the kind of slightly more overarching silliness. And don't get me wrong, all of those things have a place in a wrestling show, because wrestling should be funny and serious and dramatic.
Well, the whole point.
Yeah, all those plot lines, they all have a place.
Well, the whole point of wrestling is to break away from the whole reality scenario. Like, I don't want to worry about work. I don't want to worry about fucking, I don't know, other negative stuff in my life. I want to sit here. I want to watch some stupid stuff. Not too stupid, don't get me wrong. I don't want to see a IRS taxman walking around again and a fucking dumpster guy going, move your rubbish and all that crap. I don't want to see that crap again. What I want to see is awesome storytelling, which is number one to me. I'm not somebody that watches wrestling to see flips. Like, not everybody, but the majority of people can do flips. It's like you have to be athletic. You can naturally do flips as a wrestler. But I want someone to be able to tell a story. The story inside and outside the ring is the most biggest important things to me. Agreed? Or
agreed.
Or
And most of all, we want to see Hans being given birth to.
100%. And
100%.
I need to see more Casey Vick style stories too.
About the 90s.
Dean's just like, right, bedtime.
Bedtime is right. I think that's a nice point to jump off. We have agreed. We have agreed on something.
We have found neutral ground.
We have found neutral ground. You're still wrong about Eddie, but other than
You are very wrong about Eddie.
so wrong. So wrong.
Like, just wrong on every level.
I liked him, but he was overrated.
Oh. Get out.
Thanks, guys. See you later. Before I get killed. All right. Sorry, excuse me. That was DNA. I didn't even sing my song as well because I edited the theme tune, so it included Dean's initial too. And so, like, you know, the Pain song, Pain, Pain. I re-edited it so it goes DNA, DNA, DNA. It's clever.
Like it. I like what you've done there.
We'll
I'm with you.
sorry, excuse me. We'll wrap it up there. Thanks, Dean. Thank you so much for your time.
It's been
Really
fun,
appreciated it. We'll
Thank
definitely
you.
do it again if you're up for it.
Pleasure.
If we haven't bored you enough, you're more than welcome to. You're more than welcome to come back on. Think of another subject if you want.
Why not?
And yeah, it was good fun. Really enjoyed it.
Ash and I will do a podcast where we educate you
Oh, Eddie. Yeah.
on Eddie Guerrero matches.
Oh, you should have put that out there. Where I educate you.
I believe that's what he did.
Did you?
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
what it is.
Oh,
That
did
might
you?
be-
Yeah, yeah.
that
Oh,
might have been
sorry.
a thing. I don't know. Even if it's not, I'm going to say that it was.
Just
yeah, maybe we'll do that.
just blame that the internet's cutting out or something.
Yeah, good idea.
Sounds good to me. Well, thank you so much again. I really appreciate your time attending the award-winning podcast that hasn't won any awards. That's right, I've stolen that from Stone Cold. And thank you so much. And I still can't remember how we end these. I think we just cut it from here.